All right, y'all. So the month of April, welcome back. And I got to ask the question, what are your goals for the second quarter? Now, obviously, this is not just a football analogy. We are in the second quarter of the year 2023, depending on when you're watching this or listening to this. And for a lot of people, I saw a lot of tweets and posts like, wow, like the calendar is moving. No, it's moving the same like it moves every year. The question is, how intentional are we moving while the calendar is moving? Like, so that's going to be really the crux of this episode. Obviously, it's been a few weeks since our last Medicine Mondays, where fortunately I was able to kind of take some time with the family. We could talk about that a little bit later, but we had a great time. The tail end of the first quarter, and really kind of ties into some of my goals for the year. So let's kind of give a recap of what happened first quarter with everything that very wise. And then more importantly, and I want you to ask yourself this question, because obviously this episode isn't just for me. What did I do this first quarter that I can say, hey, you know what? That was either good, that was either bad, or that more importantly needs to be improved upon. So as we moved on into this year, a couple of goals that I had was one, to work on my health and fitness, right? So I made sure I was I don't want to say a gym rat, because I'm not a gym rat yet. I'm not at that stage yet, but I became very familiar with the gym to the point where 3 or 4 times a week I was in the gym working out, right? And obviously this was a new change for me, right? Because I was used to not going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. But it got to the point, and you know, all the gym people tell you, once you get to the point where you're going and working out that frequently, you get to the point where you start missing that feeling, that emotions and the hormones and everything that kind of runs through you going to the gym, right? So boom, check. We were able to kind of do that very, very well. We also made a very, and I say we a lot because I talk about me and my company in this kind of this, you know, self-deprecating fashion, right? But like, if we made a very concerted effort just on all of our social media platforms to just be a little bit more active, especially on the video front, right? Especially if you're one of my YouTube followers and subscribers, I appreciate you. If you're not yet and you're watching this, and more importantly, if you're listening to this on the podcast, get over YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Definitely links will be in the description for you. So we were able to then put a little bit more concerted effort on just our YouTube audience. And I actually have so many exciting things to come for the second quarter, but we'll talk about that later in the episode, right? So I want you guys to kind of think about, hey, like this first quarter, all right, I liked what I did or I didn't like what I did. Like that's the question I want us to kind of start with this first kind of, you know, instance of this episode here, right? What did I like about the first quarter of the year? What did I did not like about the first quarter of the year? And more importantly, I don't want us to go sitting here trying to look for someone to blame. I wanted to say, all right, these are the reasons. I don't want you guys making up excuses. I just want you to say, hey, these are the reasons why the first quarter was good or the first quarter is bad. What you also note, especially if you're, you know, across my kind of social media platforms, is that we were, let's say, guest light, right? So we made sure, and I made a concerted effort to have much more solo focused episodes. One, because I just like talking to you guys. I'll be honest, I like talking to you. And I wanted to make sure that while we were working on kind of the back end related things, like, you know, I don't want to say guests got in the way, but guests didn't get in the way. But let me tell you, let me assure you right now, the guests are coming, right? So we're going to have a lot of guests for the second quarter and on forward, but expect to definitely see more and more solo related content from yours truly. Now, as a kind of physician and in I like to say my day job, right? Because especially if you're watching this on the social media, YouTube, you know, Instagram, wherever you're watching this at, or listen to this on your podcast, it's sometimes it gets the description and the important fact, the fact that like I am a physician, kind of gets overshadowed with my social media presence. So yes, you know, doing a lot of great things in the world of being the healthcare professional. I am a medical director of 2 different rehabs, as well as seeing patients at my long-term care facilities. So that's going great. And I always talk about, especially for my healthcare colleagues, who want to do something different, right? I'm not saying that they got to jump on social media and talk about healthcare like they don't do it all day. I'm not saying that that's the case. But those who have apprehension to want to do something different, it's because they always feel that if I go to do something different, I may suffer over here, aka my day job, aka me being the physician, may suffer over here. And I always try to remind them that is not the case, especially when you do things right and do things correctly, right? So that's why, again, and I say we because I do have people who work with me, kind of help kind of sort out a lot of the things so I don't have issues that, like when I'm presenting here, when I'm recording here, it doesn't affect the day job necessarily, right? So lots of great things from that perspective, right? So we talked about this kind of some of my highlights. Like we talked about, we're getting much more better with our health and fitness, right? Now there's some things that we could have did better, right? And we're gonna talk about a little bit more detail in the next section, and things that I love about it. But I just want to kind of give that quick little recap of, hey, this is what this first quarter has been about. So the homework assignment I have for you, I don't like to give you guys homework assignment. The homework assignment I have for you is to write down, hey, the first quarter of the year, this is what my first quarter looked like. I did this, whatever, big, small, I went to a trip, I went that, like whatever that thing is, I want you to write it down, right? Because just talking about it isn't really going to get the needle moving for a lot of people. I don't say, because there's some people that, and I know you guys are going to jump in my comments, there's some people, yes, can do well not having to write this stuff down, but majority of people need to kind of write these things down just so their brain can process and look at, hey, this is what I did. And I think a lot of us will be surprised once we start really looking at all of the stuff we did, especially when we write it down. Like, wow, okay, that wasn't a bad quarter, right? So let's talk about the good stuff, right? Because I like to separate it. So yes, I get the recap, like I get the stuff that I did. Now let's talk about what the stuff was good, right? Obviously, the increasing the health and fitness, right? A very, very, very important. Just for lots of different reasons, right? Obviously, I'm a physician, and I'd be remiss to be telling you guys and educating you guys on the health and welfare of yourselves and empowering yourself for better health, but not try to do that on my own. Like it'd be hypocritical. Now, mind you, there's a lot of doctors who are hypocritical. That's a whole different discussion. But I'm working on not being one of those doctors that are hypocritical. So definitely one of the best portions of my first quarter was, working out and being healthier and being more conscientious about what I want to do, especially with my health and fitness kind of moving forward. Another good thing, right? I talked about in the beginning of the year, making sure we're developing and spending more time with the family, right? So we actually took the family up to Chicago for a spring break, right? Which sounds crazy because I'm in Florida and it was cold up there. So you may be saying, Barry, why would you take your family in sunny South Florida? It was like 70 degrees to Chicago where it was like 30, 40. Mind you, my kids are just like me. South Florida, born and raised, but they don't really have good experiences with the cold, right? So we wanted to kind of give them that good experience with the cold, and more importantly, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, they wanted to kind of see snow. Now, fortunately, we got to see some snow. It was the first time. I would say I'm gonna say anyone but my wife, right? Because I've seen the snow before, like on the ground after like the snow then came and went. But it was the first time we were able to see snow like as it was falling down for the first time. Like it was a crazy moment. And let me show you how weird I was, because I was outside, with my broker, and the stuff just started falling on me, and I was like, what's happening here? And they're like, oh, that's snow. Like, so this to show you, like, again, South Florida, born and raised. Of course, obviously, I couldn't wait to come back down to my warm weather and leave that cold weather up there. But again, it was a good experience for my kids, right? So I definitely wanted to make sure we're investing more time in the family, right? Because you can be great career-wise, you can be great doing the social media stuff, right? But if you're not spending time with the family, what are you guys doing? Right. So again, I want us to think, especially when you guys are writing what are the good things you did for that first quarter, make sure that you're kind of reevaluating, like, all right, yep, is this good? Could this be better? Now, another good thing, right? So again, I talked about this probably early last year where I said, hey, you know what? I want to get into things outside of medicine. Obviously, I love the social media stuff. I love healthcare, not going anywhere anytime soon, but I just wanted to experience what it was like to do other things, right? So I got into real estate, right? So I'm an investor now, right? Which still sounds crazy when I say it. Like, it still sounds crazy when we say it. Like, how many of you are doing something totally different than what your typical day job is, and it still sounds crazy when you say it out loud? Like, that's me, right? So yes, I am a real estate investor, and again, one of the benefits of going to Chicago is because one of the property that I have is in Chicago, right? So I was able to do some business and some pleasure and spend some time with family. So I was able to knock out all three at once. Absolutely loved it. And mind you, Chicago's a beautiful city. I can't wait to go when it's the summer and it's warm, because there were so many things to do just for, with me and my kids. And we couldn't do all of it. Like, it was so busy that we didn't even have time to do everything. So I can't imagine once we go there when it's warm and not, hopefully it's not too, it'll probably watch it be like sweltering hot. And I'd be like, oh man, I'm only coming when it's cold, because that will happen. But yeah, we didn't even have time to do everything we wanted to do as for that. So yeah, definitely plan on making sure we make our way to Chicago. But yeah, going back, so we got into some some discussions on real estate, looked at some more properties, right? So just to be able to kind of tie the boat, as well as kind of working on the academic side. I wanted to promise myself that I wanted to read at least, and I said at least, 52 different review articles or journal articles throughout the year. And that was just kind of the baseline 52. Obviously, I think I'll likely read more. So again, I one every week. And then that's all it takes. Just one every week, reading over and over and over again, right? So definitely working on that trend, right? So again, another homework assignment, right? What are the good things that you did? You have to be honest with yourself. Once you write down all of the stuff that you did, what were the good things that you did during your first quarter that you want to continue doing? Because it's one thing to do something and then oh yeah, that was great, but I'm not going to do it for the rest of the year. No. What are the good things that you did during that first quarter that you're going to continue during the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and beyond, right? So that's a good thing. Now on to the next section, right? Hey, what were some of the bad things, right? What were some of the things that you wish I probably could do a little bit better? And guys, if you guys are wondering, all right, how am I pulling, some of these, tasks that I wanted to do per quarter? Remember, a lot of us made New Year's resolutions or whatever you want to call it. So a lot of us said, hey, this year I want to do A, B, C, and D, right? So I just want you guys to recall those things that you said you wanted to do at the beginning of the year. Because yes, we're in the second quarter now, right? So 3 months have gone by, 3+ months have gone by, and I don't want you guys to think that if you haven't done any of your New Year's resolutions, that all right, I'll just wait till next year. No, we still got time. So if you got to restart the clock, if you have to restart that clock to say, all right, I didn't do my New Year's resolutions that first quarter, but I'm going to start my second quarter. This is why you're watching or listening to this episode, right? So what are some of the bad things, right? What are some of the things that you wanted to improve upon that you didn't, right? So I like to put myself, right? So I make sure, everything's transparency, right? So what are the things that I wish I could improve upon, right? So I would say, especially when it comes to kind of my my adventure of getting health and well fitness. If you listen to my first episode, I talked about getting with a good friend of mine, Wagner Noel, right, as well as Dr. Sylvia Bowley, right, to kind of help me and my family, especially me and my wife, kind of help us with that, right? So we got ourselves in the gym. Right, my wife kind of fell off a little bit. Don't tell her I tell you that, right? My wife kind of fell off a little bit, right? But we're gonna get her back for this second quarter, right? But we weren't able to really just our schedules and everything weren't able to align with our other professionals. But we're gonna make sure our schedules align this quarter to get with professionals, right? Because again, I'm a physician. I'm an internal medicine physician. That's all good and dandy, right? But I'm not the expert when it comes to working out. I'm not the expert when it comes to making sure I have the right diet and the right mindset to lose the weight that I need to do. So I'm not that expert yet, right? So I'm going to go to the experts because that's what you do. That's why you come to me, right? Because you may not be the foremost expert in health in general, but Dr. Pierre is somewhat of an expert. So I'm going to listen to Dr. Pierre and then I'm going to let him kind of guide me, right? That's what you do. And I like to practice what I preach, right? So just like you come to me, right, for expert advice, I go to the people who have the expert advice, right? So we're going to make sure this second quarter we go and touch base with the professionals to kind of help us get me and my wife to the goal that we're trying to achieve. From a an investor related standpoint, I was definitely looking to try to get into more properties, but there are just some things that I didn't know, right? There's some things that, and I'll probably do a whole separate YouTube episode on, just, Dr. Barry outside of medicine or something. We'll call that the series. Outside of medicine. Well, that will be, if you're a YouTuber, that will be the playlist outside of medicine. And that's when I'll start posting videos on just the stuff I do outside of medicine. Of course, real estate will be a lot of it. So there's some things I wanted to do from a real estate standpoint that I did not have time to do, or did not prepare myself to do, right? As far as being a new landlord, working with contractors, working with brokers and all that. Again, all new to me, but I'm okay going through the growing pains of learning, right? The question is, for the things that you just didn't really do that great this first quarter, what can you say to yourself? Say, hey, you know what? Like, is there an expert that I can go to that can help me get me over the hump? Is there someone, again, doesn't have to be foremost expert, right? But is there someone that I can go to just for help? A lot of us, right? I'm going to be honest. A lot of us' biggest hurdle is the fact that we will not ask for help when we need help. So we will just rack our brains and sit in the same position that we were in for days, for weeks, for months, because of our pride of asking for help. I don't want y'all to do that. I can tell you right now, I am around a lot of smart people who are constantly asking for help. In medicine, that's all we do. And again, I know it may sound crazy. All we do is ask for help. Like, the surgeons ask for help. The internists ask for help. The gastroenterologists ask for help, right? The OB guys, like, everyone asks for help, right? So don't be beside yourself, stuck in a position, knowing you want to get to a certain place because you're like, all right, I don't want to ask for the help, or I'm too prideful, or I don't know who to go to, right? Don't do that, right? So I think those are some of like the big things that I wish I could have did just better, or I would have had a really killer first quarter, right? But that's okay, because it is just the first quarter, right? We got 3 more quarters to go, right? Which means we have 3 more opportunities to improve upon what was good, but more importantly, to improve upon what is bad, right? So again, remember, homework assignment, I want you to write it down. I want you to write this thing down in your journal, in your notes app, wherever you write it down. I want it to be written down so you can be able to quickly reference it and look at it and say, hey, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to get on. This is what I need to improve upon. Or more importantly, this is what I need to continue. Because again, when I stress the good stuff, I don't want y'all to just do the good stuff one time and then don't think about the good stuff again. I want you to keep doing the good stuff over and over and over again, right? Like, that's really the name of the game. Like, how can I keep doing the stuff that does me well, that gives me pleasure, and keep doing it, and then try to do less and less of the stuff that just gives me angst and anxiety and say, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, how do I get to that point? Because if you fast forward and it's December and you do all the things that need to be done, right? One, you identify, hey, what are the things I want to do for me, for myself, for my health, for my fitness, financial fitness, wellness, spiritual fitness, whatever that fitness is. What are the things I need to do to improve that aspect of my life? What are the things that I do good, or what are the things that have been good for me? Who are the people who have been good for me? And more importantly, when you go to that other step, what are the things that have been bad for me? What are the things that I need to avoid? Who are the people I need to avoid? All of these things kind of coming together. And I stress a lot about empowering yourself for better health, right? Like, that's the thing I do, right? Like how do I get you, right? The person who's watching this video, the person who's listening to this audio, how do I get you to empower yourself to say, I want to be a better blank, right? Whatever that blank is, I just want to be better at doing that. Like, cause if you don't have that energy and that willpower within yourself to say, I want to be better at blank, or I want to be a better person, I want to be I want to be in more shape, I want more money, right? I want to be more efficient, I want a different job. If you're not saying that to yourself, you're never going to improve. It's just not going to happen. You are never going to improve upon yourself if you don't acknowledge things that need to be improved upon, or things that you need to do less of, right? So, and that's a thing, especially as busy as my life is, I am constantly looking for the stuff that I want to do less of and seeing if I can give that to someone else or just stop doing it myself. Like, I'm constantly looking for that. More importantly, I'm constantly reevaluating, hey, you know what? I kind of like doing that. I want to do more of that. Like, if you want to be able to get from day to day, if you want to get to the point where you wake up and you're just happy and you're hyped to go to work, you're hyped to come back home, you're hyped to be with friends, you're hyped to be with family, right? If you want to get to that point, you got to make sure at all different levels of the game of life, you are doing what you want to do more and you're doing less of what you don't want to do. Right. So again, I forgot before I wrap this up, one of the things I added this year was a Patreon community, right? So we are starting a Patreon community where, again, it's just going to be me and a bunch of other close friends. We're going to be talking a lot about just kind of things that come across our social media, our healthcare feed, public health related things. I'm going to be in there more, especially for those who've been like, hey, how can we get in touch with Dr. Barry more? We're going to be joining that. We're going to do that in the Patreon community. Link will be in the description or the show notes if you're a podcast watcher. I'm just excited, right, that I get the opportunity to try to be better for the second quarter. There's a lot of people who did not make that first quarter, right? There's a lot of people who started the first quarter with us who are not here for the second quarter, right? And because I recognize that on a daily basis, I try to take advantage of every single day while I'm still here. I want you to do the same, right? So again, I am yours truly, Dr. Barry Pierre, your favorite board certified internist. Thank you for joining another episode with yours truly. Let's get to it.